Hi guys, my name's Yani. I'm one of your Lux leaders. Today we're going to be doing some baking together. We're going to be making a pistachio cake. For those of you that don't like pistachios or are allergic or prefer to make something else, I'll send some instructions for alternative ingredients that you might be able to just substitute the pistachios for. So let's just get cracking. So let's just go through the kit and ingredients. So I've got a cake tin here and I've just lined it with a cake liner just for ease. This here is 250 grams of unsalted butter. This is 5 eggs that I've just cracked into a jug because I just find it easier to pour it into the batter, and also just make sure that I can see any shells a bit easier. The butter and the eggs I would recommend keeping out overnight just to bring it down to room temperature, because then it's easier to cut the butter up as well. This is 250 grams of caster sugar. I've actually added a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to that as well because my butter is unsalted. This is 125 grams of pistachios. So I just bought the unshelled, unsalted ones and just blitzed it a little in the food processor. But if you don't have a food processor, you can just put it into a Ziploc bag and sort of use a rolling pin and hammer it a little bit. This is 185 grams of plain white flour with 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I've also got my mixer, and we'll need these for later as well. So the almond extract is for the cake, and the vanilla extract we'll use when we make the cream cheese frosting. And yeah, so before you start, remember to preheat your oven. Depending on your ovens, it might be worth asking your parents about this bit, but I'm going to be setting mine to 170 degrees Celsius with the fan on. I know you can't really see what's in the bowl, but I'll just show you in terms of what I'm doing, where I'm just literally pouring this while having the hand mixer going. And so when you pour, 1 egg, if you just do it gently, only 1 egg will come out, and then mix it really nicely, make sure that egg's incorporated before you add the next egg in, and just keep doing that until you've used all 5 eggs, right? So this is looking a lot better now. This is sort of the point I want it to be at, where you can see the butter and sugar look a little bit paler. So obviously I'm currently filming with one hand and holding the hand mixer with the other. Ideally have a hand on the bowl, otherwise it's going to go all over the place. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to add the eggs in one by one, and then mix it with the hand mixer as well. So guys, you're eventually going to get to the stage where everything's sort of come together, but you can still see that the butter is very yellow at this point. So I'm going to keep mixing it, but now I'm going to try and slowly increase the speed and keep creaming it until the butter becomes a little bit lighter. Keep going. So step 1, we're just going to mix the butter and sugar together. So I'm just going to put all of the sugar into the butter here, and then get my mixer and put it on low first because it's going to go all over the place. I'm just going to do that for a little bit and I'll show you what it looks like once it's ready. So I've added in all of my flour and pistachios. If you don't like pistachios, you can completely omit all the pistachios, and instead of 185 grams of flour, you just use 250 grams of flour, and you'll just get, you know, a normal butter cake like a sponge cake that you use for Victoria Sponge, and you can still use your cream cheese frosting, or you can put some jam or whatever. But yeah, so now this is ready to go into our cake tin and then into the oven. So this is the slightly tedious bit, adding the flour and the pistachios in. I'm going to add the flour in first, and it's the same concept for the pistachios. So you need a sieve. This is my flour right here, this is my batter over here. I'm going to take a big spoon of this, put it into the sieve, and basically sift it in, sort of a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons at a time, and then I am just gently mixing it with my spatula to incorporate all the flour in. And you're just going to keep doing this until you've got through all your flour. And then I've got my pistachios here. Really, you don't need to sift this in. You can just add it in a tablespoon at a time, because you know some of the coarse bits are not going to go through the sieve. So yeah, I'll show you what it looks like once I've added all the flour and the pistachios in. So I've just added in the almond extract, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a whisk. And now we are ready to add in the flour and pistachios, which we're just going to stir in, and I'll show you how that's done. So this is what the batter looks like after all the eggs have been added in. And now we're going to add in half a teaspoon of almond extract and then put the blender back on. Okay, so all I've done is just use this to mix it a little bit. Now that it's mostly mixed, I am going to add just a couple of drops of vanilla extract here. And then get my hand mixer out and just blitz this for just about 2 minutes. So I'll keep going with that, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's all done. So this bit's super easy. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add the icing sugar into the cream cheese. And before I use the hand whisk, I am actually just going to give it a little mix with just the spatula, because if anyone's tried to do this before, they know that using a hand whisk with icing sugar just means that there's like a whole explosion of icing sugar in your kitchen. So I'm just going to mix it a little bit with this first, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I put the hand mixer on. So to make the cream cheese frosting, we are going to use 200 grams of cream cheese. I've used the Philadelphia cream cheese. We've got 130 grams of icing sugar, and we're going to need a couple of drops of vanilla extract. So you're going to need to let your cakes completely cool before you put the cream cheese frosting on it, otherwise the cream cheese frosting is just going to melt. So once the cakes are out of the oven, leave them on the side on a wire rack or something for about 2 hours at least, for them to completely cool down before you put the frosting on. So cake batter's in the tins. I've split the batter because it's quite a lot of batter. I'm using basically exactly the same tin size. If you don't have this size, you could potentially use something about like that and put all of the cake batter in there, or a slightly bigger, rectangular tin. So yeah, so now this is just going to go into the oven for 20 minutes. Let's put them in. Be careful not to burn yourselves. And there we go. And we're going to set a timer for 20 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So it's looking really nice and smooth now. All the little lumps of icing sugar have gone. So if you wanted to be super thorough, you could actually use the sieve and sieve the icing sugar in. I haven't bothered to do that. I've just put it all in and just use this, and it's come up fine. So yeah, now you're ready to ice it once your cakes have cooled.